Hi, from Gabriele of Staticalmo, the statistical consulting service that aids mostly small companies or organizations to reach more rigorous decisions thanks to various domains of statistics, something that in the last years people call data science for reasons I don't agree entirely. Today we have a case that deals with somebody that wants to build a data prediction model to predict the future number of events that will be held using historical data. They said that previously someone built a prediction model for them, however the model doesn't seem to function properly, so they need somebody that can fix the model or build a new one. They say the model was built using Python and then incorporated inside the Power BI, that is a business intelligence software of Microsoft that I personally don't like. They provided the dashboard and they offered to pay $300. That is fair, but later you will understand why. This is our dashboard and those are the numbers that come from a model. The question is how to find the script that returned those numbers. We have to go here into model, edit query. At this point we see it mentions Python. We go to error, edit settings, and we see the Python script. We see that the previous person imported pandas, that is the most common library of Python to manage data frames. Then in this part they built the model, and in all honesty I found what they wrote from here on extremely surprising in a negative way, because they basically built the linear model in a very, let's say, scholastic way. Here it is the formula of the coefficient for next year, and here is the formula of the intercept, and the intercept is basically where you start from the y column. So that is the Q. If it is 0, it starts from the origin. If it is more than 0, it is up. If it is negative, it is down. Of course, in this case, we have positive values, so of course it will be positive. Of course, the model doesn't yield the results because it is built in a very simplistic way, and it made literally my arms drop. Let's also say this kind of formula works if you want to predict attendees and collection in kilograms. So those are normal variables because they have a normal distribution, let's suppose. But in the case of predicted events, it is not a normal distribution. It is a Poisson distribution that deals with predicting countings. Who doesn't improvise themselves? First check the distribution of variables, then builds a model. Here they did just the model. Since they predicted events using the formula for normal distributions, then they had to do a dirty fix, rounding, of course, this value, so that it looks like a counting. First of all, let's go to check the distributions of those two variables. I made this new page, and as you can see, attendees have a normal distribution with a left asymmetry, and the same for this other variable. So if you want to use a linear model, you have to transform those two using, for example, a logarithmic transformation. The fact that the previous person imported just pandas, it is already a flag that they didn't know what they were doing and they were basically improvising themselves. I found surprising that they managed to write something like that, because even if they used ChatGPT, they would have produced something better. Because generally, when you want to build a model in Python, you don't start from scratch as they did. You import another library that is generally cheeky to learn, but I personally prefer stat models, and you use those models. You don't reinvent the wheel. So my hypothesis is this one. The people that wrote this job post got burnt, understandably. They increased the budget so they could attract people that they actually can fix the model. So the person that built the model for those three numbers did a very simple thing, that is, repeat the linear estimation formula of Excel that, as you can see, has the same formula for the slope, of course, that you see inside here, but the difference that in our code we had different letters. So basically did this. They didn't even check the stats. As I say in numerous occasions, is the diagnostic for the model. And you can do it also directly in Excel using Analysis Toolpack inside Excel. You go to Options, Add-ins, and in this case you find as output a rich table that in a previous video I showed, but I didn't quite understand where it came from. In this case you have complete diagnostic. Of course, when you want to implement this inside Power BI, you need to write DAX code if you want to reinvent the wheel, or you can implement an R or Python script, but the use of the proper libraries, otherwise you waste time and you also decrease the value you deliver. So this is all for this video, and I hope that I showed you how much it can cost you to hire people that maybe have some background in Excel or in building dashboard, but they don't know how to code, and so they try to improvise themselves. If you want to integrate a serious model that also has a diagnostic that says I'm delivering you something that has value, you can contact me on the contact page of www.staticalmo.com or the main social medias. Bye, and see you the next time. Last observation, I don't quite agree how they structured this dashboard. It doesn't seem clear at all. I just know what the company does. The rest basically requires 1 hour of code to clarify.